This podcast is sponsored by Camera Museum of London and Tang Cigars, located at 44 Museum Street, London. Welcome to a Fish Out of Water podcast. This is your host, Richard Lippman. Today we're interviewing Nili Feller. Nili Feller, thank you very much for joining us. Can you tell us who you are, what you do?
I'm an Israeli film editor, mostly documentaries, but not only documentaries, also fiction and hybrid film. I think that's what I am.
Can you tell us a bit about your background? Where you're from? Maybe did your parents work in the media or things like that?
I grew up in Haifa. It's very not for a cultural background. It's very big city, but working hard. And I moved to Tel Aviv when I was 20, and I went to study cinema and television in Tel Aviv University.
Did you know Ran Tal at the time?
No. I met Ran only after I met Ari Folman. They are older than I am, something like 8 years. I met Ari through a very famous editor from here, from Tel Aviv, Dov. I used to be his assistant editor in the 90s. And he worked with Ari on St. Clara and made Israel, two fiction films. He edited to Ari. We met and we started to work together with Ari on a documentary TV series. Every chapter was a short film. This was the first thing we did together, and then we did a documentary series that finds animation in it. It calls the materials that love is made. Something like that. This is the name. It was something like 6 stories about love stories
Was it called?
The materials love is made of, something like that.
We've got something here with Ari Folman, St. Clara, Made in Israel, Shabbat, Vehagim.
No. I don't think it's in the
Betupul, In Treatment.
No.
It's not
it was
that.
before that. It was in 2000. I think we started work in 2002, and it was broadcast in 2004. It's 6 chapters with different love stories in different ages of people. There are children, and the last chapter is very old people. And every chapter, I interviewed experts, some psychological and also chemistry experts, about what happens to the mind when you are in love. And their answers was so weird that I thought that only animation can describe the nonsense that they are telling, because they tell it's just material, just chemistry. That's what they are saying. So every chapter begins with animation of something like 5-6 minutes. It was our first try making animation. Then we met David Polonsky that drew BASHIR, and Yoni Goodman, the director of animation. This was our first meeting with them.
So who created the animation? Did Ari create the animation, or did you?
No. We are not. We don't know how to create animation. We need to bring animation. It was a very big thing. But the director of the animation, Yoni Goodman, the legend, Yoni Goodman.
Okay.
He working with us since the material the lab is made of, through Vasco Bashir and Congress, now where is Anfran. Very big collaboration. Ari works with him also some artworks for museums and many things.
All right. So they created the animation and you edited it. Is that correct?
Yeah. Animation is very long and expensive process. So you want to try to paint or to move frame unless you understand the whole structure of the film. So Ari shot all the interviews in the studio and we edited it on a video with a lot of title about describing the things that are not with text, and a lot of music reference. And only after we had something like a 90-minute film with, it's very funny, I have it with a video and a lot of cuts, of course, because it's animation and lots of very strange titles and explanations and references. Only after all that, we can start the other stage, but it's still not the animation.
Right. So tell me, did you come on at the beginning with all your films? Do you come in at the beginning?
No, I want to start from the beginning, but no, there are things that I'm getting in when there is a rough cut already. That for many reasons we must change something. So I always say that you can't replace the producer, you can't replace the director. So you can only replace the editor. So there are cases like that.
Okay, so back to Ari Folman. So you met him at university?
No.
No? How did you meet him?
I just told you I met him. He's older than I am. I can't.
Okay, I see. You met him. Whilst you were assistant editing.
We were friends through Dov Stoyer. I was his assistant.
Got it. And Dov Stoyer is an editor, right? Israeli editor.
Yeah,
what did he do?
He edited St. Clara of Ari Folman and Ari Sivan.
Right.
And also made it Israel on another fiction film of Ari's.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So, when you first met Ari, do you remember what was said? Do you remember the memory?
Of course I remember, but I'm not sure I'm going to talk about it.
All right. Now, tell me one thing. Did you get along on a personal level or on a professional level or both?
With him or with everyone?
With Ari. Let's start with Ari.
I think that the relationship between the editor and the director, we are so close. We sit together in the same room for months. So we must get together only, not just professionally.
What about the idea of stories? So did he put together scenes? Was everything storyboarded? Did he have a script? Or did you discuss the story with him and did it change during the process?
was with BASHIR, there was a script.
Right.
It began with a very big research, and I thought stories that it can were repeated for many people. They maybe should be in the film, in the script. So he wrote a script, and of course, like in every film, in the editing, things are changing. But there was a script for WALTZ, which I cannot say that in other documentaries we have because we don't. So
Right.
it's like something.
Were there documentaries where you worked on where there was no script?
Most of them don't have a script, of course. Maybe you write a script, it's, before shooting. No, when you want to raise money, so you must write something. But
Yeah.
of course, that story is written in the editing room. Most of it.
So I understand that some of the documentaries that you showed me that I had a look at, I have to admit I did not watch everything from A to Z, but I had a look at most. And the interesting thing is that they're all different stories. They got different styles. You know, you worked on animation, you worked on stories with one person, then you worked on stories with multiple characters. So, for example, with one person, you worked on Comrade Dove. That was a story about one person, and also the relationship with the director and others. Tell me, what was it like working with the Heyman brothers on Comrade Dove?
Barak is a very close friend of mine. It wasn't our first project. We did also TV serial, documentary TV serial about divorce. It was a lot many years ago. And then I edited some this project that he produced in WALTZ. Like at least 3 of them. So I knew him well when we started Commodore. Yeah, I liked him very much. Barak shot something that I think, I really don't know, but it was something like 300 at least.
300 hours. Okay. Yeah. So it's a ratio of about 300 to 1.
Something like that, yeah. It was crazy. And of course, I had an assistant, and she watched everything, and she transcribed it, but something like that. I have a very big book because he printed it. You know, in the morning, I opened the Google Drive, in the Google Docs, and then I made coffee because it was something like 10 minutes until all the pages got up. It was something like maybe 600 pages.
Okay, so and obviously there was some sponsorship and there was time. Did you have a deadline?
I mean, we don't have a deadline, but we also don't have your budget and we don't have your money.
Okay. So what are we talking about in terms of budget? I mean, for that particular film.
I don't know that particular, but most of the Israeli documentaries made it for less than 100,000 euros.
Less than $100,000?
Euros, yeah.
Oh, euros. That's about the same.
Oh, maybe not less, but something like that.
Approximately 100,000. And that comes from TV and it comes from other sources, right? The government.
TV, half, and the national funds, the other half.
Did you ever get money through IDFA and festivals and things like that, or partnerships abroad?
There are some that do it, but most of them not.
Because they're very competitive, probably, and they probably look for, I don't know what they look for, but yeah, we can have, that's interesting. What
that
about...
might be for production, like outtake.
Right. Yes. Right. German-French TV consortium. They've been around for many years. They fund a lot of documentary. One thing. What about in America in terms of the editing style? American editing style or European editing style? Would you say that you're closer to the European editing style?
I guess. But there are also many great things in America. And I think it's so big, so you can be whatever you want. There are a lot of audience for everything. But of course, journalistic films of editing is less something that I'm looking for.
Okay, so you're looking more for a story rather than just an event.
Story is cinematic language.
Okay. Yeah. What's a cinematic language to you?
Relationship and footage and sound, camera movement, use of archive materials, the relationship between the talking heads and the archive footage. It's an endless language.
Walter Murch, who was a sound and also became an editor later, he wrote a book about editing, I think The Blink of an Eye or something of the sort. Yeah. Do you remember his theory?
Of course.
Can you tell us the theory and how it relates to your work?
I don't know. There is one theory. There's some subject. And yes, it's too long. When it talks about the thing that's important in editing, I just saying that example that maybe it's more relevant to a lot of documentaries, that what we call a continuity, and it's only in 8 days, I think. Okay, so what's the goal in editing is to create an emotional process with every cut. I think this is the most. I don't know if I want to tell what much one sentence, because yes, other telling about the thing of music and the thing of the sound, all the things we do in the editing room is also an endless work. Yeah, of course that it's something that we all read and we know we want to be like that.
How closely do you work with the directors? Can you give us a story when you had to sit in with the director for days and weeks? And what would happen? What would you discuss?
No, they are very close friends of mine. Most of them, they're becoming my really close friends. Ari is like a brother for me, like my older brother that I didn't have, and it's very intimate relationship, really. And also Ran and also Michal Aviad, and a lot of them.
Did you work with Tomer?
No.
His brother. His brother Tomer. Did you ever work with Tomer?
Yes, I call him my, how do you say, the husband of, the brother of your husband. What is the name?
A brother of your husband, so brother-in-law?
Yeah. I always say, this is my relationship with them. This is my brother-in-law. No, we didn't work together. I worked a little in the TV series in Israel. We call it Families. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, okay. Probably not.
But I didn't.
I mean, do you go through the footage, right? Firstly, do you edit in a studio or do you edit at home, or has that changed obviously since the 90s?
Not really. I must go to the studio. I can go here at home. And
Why is
yeah,
that? Why is that? So you're in the studio. Is it because you're just focused on one thing
yeah,
and there's no
not
distraction?
country and stuff like that. So of course, I must go there.
Okay.
Also during the corona, I went every morning to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you work with Avid Suite only?
Yeah, in Israel, the strongest software. I think most of the editors here in Israel work on Avid.
Okay.
I did work in Final Cut twice. It was a disaster. I didn't like it.
Okay. So you work with an assistant editor, is that correct?
Sometimes I think in a Commodore, because what I told you, it was 300 hours of rushes. We need someone to start sorting it or transcribe it for me.
Okay, so they've sorted it. What do they sort it accordingly?
By subject,
For example?
like dog is the car, because every morning, every day start with 1 hour driving from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and okay, so there is an assembly for driving. There is an assembly because there were some struggles. The dog was involved with that, and the film deals with it about minimum salary. It was one subject, and the relationship between Jewish with Arabs, the community was another subject. No, I think something that we must start with.
Okay, so you basically put them in scenes, right? And subjects. How do you put a scene together and link it?
This to put a scene, it's the end when we know what we're doing, but we have sometimes until we are there, because when we have these rounds of washes, we gave grade for every scene before we edited it. Just things that we felt when we watched the material. And I think that in the end, we edited only the scene that got the grade very good. I think this was our method in Commodore. And first thing I do is I'm watching the scene and I'm from each 4 hours rushes. I think the first stage is to make it at least 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
And, this it's not. I'm not calling it. It's not to edit the rush, just to make a assembly from the rushes. And I'm watching all the materials, and after I have something like 30 assemblies from a lot of scenes, then we try to understand the structure of the film. Because I don't think that there is a point to edit the scene if you don't know where is it on your timeline. Because every scene has its own information. So only after we understand where we think it will change the time, and only then I try to editing the scene.
So is it so you assemble footage together, you put it on a timeline, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you might have like 100 different timelines.
Not 100, but
50, up to 50.
Yeah, in Comrado. It's extremely very big project. Usually
Right.
it's not.
Okay. So I think Grey Gardens had something like 300 hours of footage as well. Apparently. I think I'm right. And Divorce Iranian Style. Have you seen it? Kim Longinotto. It's on YouTube, Divorce Iranian Style. She I think she won Sundance with that. That was 16 hours.
16 hours?
Yes, and she went to Iran, I think in the 90s, or was it the 80s? God knows. But anyway, and they put together the story was about the divorce courts and the characters that go there in Tehran, etc. I think that's where it was. So okay. And once you have all of those timelines, right? According to, I'm talking to you in relation to people who are really interested in editing and how the process works. Once you do that, what do you do with the timeline? Do you create another timeline and then put all the footage on there and start playing around with it?
It's all here. We must write the structure.
You write the structure.
So I'm not assembling it until I know what I'm going to do. It's not a pain that I'm doing. I must understand before. I must have a plan. I must have an editing script.
Ah, okay.
It's not a script, but it's the structure. And of course, only then I start to summon together the scene. Only after I know the structure and what's going to be the opening scene.
Can you show us an example? Do you have a structure of a documentary that you made somewhere written?
Of course, we have a lot of them. No, it's a list of scenes that, me as a director, we invented names for every scene. I don't think someone can understand our names.
Why not? Try us. Give us an example.
No, it's difficult for me to. I'm going to my drive.
Take your time.
I just opened the Dov Hamid login. I think I hope that the computer won't shut down.
It should be all right.
Because it's very big file.
Okay. So what, you write it on Word? Or do you actually storyboard it?
No.
You just write it down like it's a script. Scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, right?
Yeah. Here.
Or just sort of treatment level, or shot like a shot list.
Yeah, and then of the scene, all of the scenes.
Right, like a beat board.
Yeah. Here I found the structure of Michal.
Okay, what film is that in English?
1,341 friends.
Okay. Right, that's
Ran Tal's last amazing documentary. And I see here a structure which is not it's very old. It's not, it's script is an offer that can change all the time.
right. Okay, so give us an example. So what did you do with that? Scene 1, scene 2, how's that more or less?
I put it all the time, and after I edited everything before.
Okay, so you did an assembly, right?
After I made the assembly, after I watched the material and made the assemblies, I tried to understand, to write the editing script, and then I began to edit everything alone, not on the big time, its own time. And I hope that it happens after that I can understand where on the timeline the thing will be. Because there are information that we can bring in many things, and we have to decide in this stage when and how we want to tell the information. So if I'm editing now a scene, I must understand what I really want from that scene, because it can be many things, but I have to decide after I know where on the timeline I want it to be. I can decide what's the main course.
Right. Hang on. I've got it here.
And after I'm editing 1 month later, 2 months later, after I edited all the script that we wrote on the editing script, then we create new timeline. The things that we planned. And now we're trying to talk about the transformation between these things. And I think that the most frightening moment is when we watch our first draft.
Are you frightened when you watch the first draft? Does it make you sick or not?
No, but I'm very excited.
Excited.
Yeah.
You've opened up the film 1341 frames.
Mm-hmm.
It's opened up with a bunker. Sometimes, and then it says sometimes the most horrific things are aesthetic. I did notice that in the film we don't. I think I haven't seen all of it in detail. I don't think we ever see the character.
No, we do.
We do, but we do.
In the end, something like in the last 5 minutes, Ran shopping, or also in Steve, he says to Ran, I'm going to drink some coffee, and then you have some pictures of him and the owner, his wife, together these days. And during the film, there are also some frames of him in the mirror.
Right. Right.
I must tell you that we had a Zoom scene that Ran made with them during the Corona. And it was in our half cut, almost until the end. But many people that saw our work in progress, they convinced us that should leave this, that it's too ugly, that it's only nowadays because of Corona we can live with this format, but it won't surrender.
Okay.
So we extracted it.
Now, okay, interesting. Okay, so right, there was moments of him in the story, but this was extracted. How much do you feel that you need to show people the rough cuts? Many people. Does this affect your?
It's very important. Yeah, because after we watched and the producers and we must examine things about with other people. Not it can be people that don't do
Yes,
things.
of course, of course.
Yeah, because sometimes you hear that I didn't understand the plot in minute 43, and then understand that the problem was 20 minutes ago. Something there that you didn't understand creates the mess. So I think it's very important.
Who
And
has the final cut? Is it you, the director, or the producer, or the TV channel, or the funders?
no, uh, the director, of course, here, not the producers, not the at least what I do, not not at the TV channel level. And but we try not to. We are not. We understand the problems before. We are listening to everyone and try to take from everyone the best. So
Yes.
there is no war argument anyway in my project. There weren't like that. And, okay.
All right. Hi, Nili. Can you tell us who are your influences in terms of films and edits, editors?
Oh, so long. I don't like list, but maybe I can talk with I don't know if it will be interesting for someone not Israeli, but from the Israeli point of view, I mentioned before Dov Shtoyer, that he was my mentor, and I learned a lot from him. It wasn't in documentary really, but I think he taught me where to look and what I'm looking for when I'm telling a story, how to create it with a lot of attention. And there was a very famous editor here in Israel, the name was Ari Lapid. She's Nadav Lapid's mother. His last film, The Knee, was screened at Cannes last year. It won, I don't know the name of the award in English.
One moment.
And he used to work with his mother. She edited all his films before.
Haaretz Knee, right. Got it.
And I think she was very intelligent documentary editor because she knew how to navigate through the story and to build attention and to make the very active in the interview, not passive. And I think I learned from her a lot.
Do you think what you learn is intuition, or is it intellectual, or is it
Intellectual, or maybe to understand that your intuition maybe is something that you can rely on, but I don't think that you can learn it.
So what you learned in terms of how to craft the story. What if a lot of it? Sorry, I'm listening. Well, I once spoke to the editor, and unfortunately, let me get his name. Okay. Right. He used to work a lot with Nicholas Roeg, the filmmaker, and he edited. Let me just go to cast and the writers, the all cast and crew. I'm just trying to find his name here. The editor. He edited Barry Lyndon as well.
Wow.
And he told me, you know what's weird? It's not. I don't know if he's actually in there, but he said he didn't want to talk about it. And he didn't want to talk about his experience editing with Barry Lyndon with Stanley Kubrick. And there is a quote where Stanley Kubrick referred to putting together the edit like going through the city and navigating and knowing the plan. And he said, why wouldn't I do that? I wouldn't let someone else do that. So how far does the ideas of the director influence you? And what if it's not the same idea?
Like I said before, yes, I think we are working together. And it's really like that. There are cases that you know from the beginning. There was something like a script, you know how to start the film, but unfortunately, mostly it's not like that. And I think that when I watch the material, I really remember the moments, you know, when you understand this can be or not. It's almost physical. You can feel it.
I see. Strong scenes.
So, yeah, and I think it's moments that you can. Most of the time, I think that we will agree about this. And I must tell you that if something in the process is not, it's really not, I don't know how to say it, maybe I can't feel the dialogue between the director. I once said, and of course, I left some, not a lot, but if I can't understand the direction, where we are going, I feel that we don't have the same language, don't feel the same. So I think it's better for the project that we will separate. And I think it's very important to know that sooner is better.
Are you on the same page? He also said, this editor, that if you don't have the material, then there's not a lot you can do with it. How far would you agree with that? If you don't have the material, like if you got a story you want to tell, but you don't quite have the material, or you need to shoot more, did you ever have to do that with the director? Say, oh, we're missing this. Can you shoot this? Can you add this? Can we find this?
Of course, I think in every film there are moments like that you understand during the editing that you need more information, but it's not the main sense. It's extra. Maybe it's extra on the sounds. And of course, I think it's something that we start the editing sometime for the editing and
Right. And what about the sounds and all of that? Do you work closely with the sound and the music?
Yeah, they are my best mentors. Yeah, think it's, we have very close collaboration, and they watch my rough thing for the early students, and there is very deep dialogue with sound designer and animation. Actually, it's a joke, but we do have a band because we are three that we did 7 projects together. Now the sound designer and musician, Ophir Award. So we are a band.
Wow. Where can we see your music?
There are 7. No, it's not really music. Music of editing.
Oh, right. Okay, interesting. Do you go to festivals, film festivals?
Yeah.
Which ones?
But not documentary. I was in Berlin.
Okay.
Ran Tal last year. It was a great experience. I was in Cannes several times. They also I were in Sheffield.
Okay.
At your place. Yeah, it was really fun. It was with a documentary called Oriented. Director is British. He lives in London. Name is Jack Wickenfeld. We did a documentary about gay Palestinians. They live in Tel Aviv. They are amazing people, and we went to Sheffield with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And what about work? How do you get work? Do people come to you, or do you have an agent, or is it word of mouth?
People come to me. I don't have an agent because I don't need an agent because I'm making something like 3 or 4 projects in a year. So it's not like when commercial editors must have an agent. No, I deal it with myself.
Do you, when you're making the film, or do you think about the audience? Who it's
No,
for?
I'm thinking about myself. I think that I know the answer that I'm looking for, and I found to myself to understand the gap between how to transform the story will be cinematic in one end, but also will be that people can participate and understand and find themselves in it. But I don't think about what the audience wants. I don't believe that there is an animal like that. I think that if I think that this is good and interesting and it has the emotional effect that I want, this I think what should be.
Okay. I'm just going through. What about style and pace? Do you think you have your own editing style? Do people come to you because you have a style?
I want to talk about myself. I hope.
How important do you think is it for editors and directors to have a unique voice? Or do you think they must, because sometimes when you work with TV channels, you've got to have a style that they want for their audiences?
Here in Israel, there are TV channels that maybe want the thing that you just said. Luckily, I'm not working there, so I can talk about that. styles because it's not something that I do. I work for a TV broadcast here that I think much oriented to artistic style, cinematic style.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that, of course, the director must have his own voice. Must have. He wants to be interesting. I think that's what we want. But I think that the editor, of course, we do have our style, but we also need to adjust ourselves, not just adjust ourselves, to understand what they want and to try to make it happen. And that means that we do change with every project. I can't force Ran Tal style on a Barak Ayman project because it can't happen.
Have you ever worked with films or completed films when at the beginning you had no idea what the story was or what the director wanted and there was no vision?
No.
It's a difficult question.
I think that no, even when there is no vision, when it's always starts from a phone call and they must say something. So no, I don't think that. Of course, that there were that was made totally in the editing room. Of course.
How closely do you want cinema to be like documentary, and how closely do you think it is to reading a book?
Unfortunately, not. I don't want the documentary films to be like the real world, or the real world is usually not so much aesthetic or interesting. I think that documentary film, even that his documentary, it's an artistic experience. That's what it should be. It's not a mirror of the terrible sun and reality outside. And what was the other side of the question?
How closely do you think documentary is like reading a book?
Unfortunately, it's not, because cinema has so much information, picture and sounds and music and art, and too much information. Not just documentaries, cinema has much information. I think that really book is much, I don't want to say deeper, but it's something that it's a longer process, takes a lot of time, and I think that what you imagine in your head, because there isn't so much information. I think that I prefer maybe to read a book and not to watch documentary.
Well, there's I heard from one of my tutors that Werner Herzog doesn't watch many documentaries. Do you watch documentaries to improve your craft, or do you think it's? I heard from one of my tutors that Werner Herzog doesn't watch so many documentaries. He prefers to read, and he gets inspiration from books. So do you think it's better not to watch too many documentaries so that it doesn't influence you too much? Or
no, I think that it's very important for us to watch many films. Of course, in our style, not everything that comes to the world we must see. But of course, I think that influence is something very important. I had, for example, Comradov that we just talked about. The opening scene of Comradov, it's a homage for the opening scene of Rubaiyat. I think that.
Which one? Homage of what?
RBG, the film documentary about Biden, because I think yeah, both of them begins with what people, what people think about them. That they are extremely left. The American says about her, and the Israeli says about Dov.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about RBG, the American documentary in 2018. I see. Okay.
Yeah, if you watch the two opening scenes, I did copy paste. Not really, but I took the idea for the opening scene from that. And I think that we must refresh ourselves and watch many documentaries with them. Because we can't think that we invent the language, because we're not. And I think influence is very important for our growth.
Interesting. Do you have any advice for people who want to become editors?
To watch a lot of documentaries. To understand what their style.
What has changed from today and maybe 50 years ago in the world of documentary?
A lot. I believe that this is not objective truth. Even that it's a documentary, it's a personal story of the creatures. For that many technical changes, I think that the digital editing allows us to try a lot of things that the directors now they can think after shooting, not before. I think that when the material was very expensive, you have to plan advance today. Today is grand hours will be okay. Because it's not always like that.
Do you think it's better to have a plan in your head in advance?
Yes. A plan limits.
Limits. A frame.
Fully believe in limits. In your creating a language for the shooting. Yeah.
What about to know what you want to get out of the scene? Do you think that's important during the shooting?
No. It depends on your style, but I think that you must be open to surprises. Mm-hmm. Because if you think you know what you are looking for, you can lose something else. And therefore, I really like things like Flying with the Woman, know that you are not telling your protagonist how to really just happen.
You have a favorite film that you edited?
I won't tell you.
Okay. What about future films? Are there any future films that you want to edit?
Of course.
Who would you like to work with, for example? Or styles or stories?
I'm really be glad to try to do something outside Israel. That's what I can say. But close with London, Paris.
What about, I mean, these days, when you go to festival, you see a lot of films from, or people, mostly European or films related to conflict zones and conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever see any sort of African filmmakers make films in festivals these days, or people from Latin America? And why aren't there so many? Is it because of funding or something else?
I really don't know about funding there. I guess it really can't say about it. I just know that now in Jerusalem Film Festival, the winner of one of the categories was from Myanmar, collective of Myanmar.
Myanmar. Okay, right. Okay.
I don't know about the subject. We can talk about it.
Sure. And as an editor, have you ever been on set during the shooting? Have you ever been invited?
Walter March says that it's better for us not to be there. And it's right. He says that the actor shouldn't be on the set because sometimes on the set they can think that they discover something really amazing, and they think it's great, and the editor shouldn't know that. The test is you can see in the editing room when he's alone.
Yeah.
And he says also that the director, after finishing the shooting, go to the kitchen for the editing.
Right. That's funny you say that, because there's an Italian filmmaker, I think Gianfranco Rossi. You heard of him? He won many awards. He did some very unusual films. He did say when he made a film about there's a place in India where people go to die. When he made that film, he shot it in 16mm. He would not look at it for months. Okay, let me find. I'll find the name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Franco Rossi, and the film is called. Okay, awards, feature films. Okay, filmography. Very bad, this thing. Hang on a second. IMDb. There it is. I'm going to get the name of it. So he's also got a sort of Boatman, it's called. He made it in 1993. So he said that he would not look at the footage for months afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, just proved to the point. Star Pace Archive. What do you do once you've delivered the film, right? So you deliver it in HD or in 4K. Do you get involved in all the technical nitty-bitty? Do you have to do a mix down and color correction and all of that?
No.
So that's separate.
There was a time that they really, maybe I understood something like that, but it's changing so fast. So I really don't understand all the formats that I have. And extremely extraordinary post-production manager. She's a friend of mine, Karin, and she understands all the formats. And the post-production hours, making all the deliveries. Yeah, I do come to the online shift for screening.
Okay.
But, not more than that.
I'm gonna ask if you know this lady here. So Martin Scorsese works with a female editor. Do you think female editors are different from male editors? Do you think that they have a different sort of instinct?
No. Oh, and I don't like this question. And
I know it's a sexist question, obviously.
yeah, no, because something like 5 years ago, there was a panel here in a festival about female editors, women editors, and I made a lecture about that topic. And after I checked many different claims about that claim that women are sensitive, and after I proved that there isn't something like that, I came to only one conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
That when a producer calls me and tells me that he's looking for a woman, I think maybe he doesn't have he wants to pay less.
I see.
My conclusion.
Right, I see.
But there is no difference.
Okay.
And I heard about the director that replaced the female editor when he did a war. Yeah,
I see.
I think it's bullshit.
Okay. And what about the have you been to America to film festivals over there?
No, just
In Europe.
the Oscar.
Oh, in the Oscar, right. And how was it there? What was the atmosphere there? Do you think it's easy to get work there, networking and stuff like? Do people talk to you? Is it, or is it a bit?
Not so
stiff?
much. Lately, there were some meetings, but online meetings, but not more than that.
I once
I'm not trying to do it, not working.
How important is it, let's say, for people who are just starting out to network in person, to meet people?
Maybe it is, but I'm not the right person to ask because in my age, in my experience, I don't need to do that, so I don't understand.
Sure. Sure. With regards to the technical, so all of that is delivered by the post-production studio, but what about archiving the film? Let's say the filmmaker comes to you and said, 10, 20, 30 years later says, my God, that's a great scene that we took out. Can we put it back in or do a little trailer about this and that? Or does it ever happen? Where and what happens to all the material that you shoot with?
The producer should keep it. And I heard some terrible story about an Israel film that wanted to change the last scene, and after being very big festival, they came to the producer and they said, we want to open the film, and he said, oh, oopsie, I don't have the hard drive, and deleted all the materials. So yeah, but it's the producer responsibility, and I hope the director that maybe they keeping a backup the materials, because I wouldn't trust the producers.
Right, I see. And do you ever keep backups of the films as an editor?
I should do it. I'm just thinking about it. But if I want to do something, I can call the director or the producer.
Sure, it's really up to them to take it further if they need to. Okay. So what are your future plans? You're working on several films now?
Yeah, now I'm working on a fiction film with Maya Drassi. She's an Israeli filmmaker. It's a fiction feature film. And I'm also working TV Syria, not documentary. And a lot of projects in the future.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nili. I have a bit of an unusual question. So, Do you ever get, has there been moments where like the protagonist or one of the characters from the films you're working on says to the director or something, I want to see this, I want to see the rough cut, I want to see the film, I want to choose, I want to make sure that this is not here. I mean, do you ever get that?
No. I think the director from the beginning knows that he should make that this won't happen. And I think that his goal is to reach the trust of the protagonist. And there is no way that the protagonist will watch a rough cut. They maybe for the screening can show them, not during the process.
Has there been a case when the protagonist or one of the characters doesn't like something and wants it removed?
Not that I remember, but we do have. There was a case with Barak. It was about the TV serial about divorce. Barak shot like 2 years, and we edited for several months. And then he started to think that maybe one of the protagonists is lying to him. It was, it's a gross crime, it's not really nice stories. And when we have 5 drafts in very progressive place, and decided to take this protagonist out. We did a break for 1 year,
right,
to find someone else. It was really an unpleasant moment because I also felt that I should understand it before. I think that you can't understand it only 1 year after.
Right. And in terms of fees and payments, as an editor, do you normally get paid during, before, or after? Or is it a mixture? Or does it change according to the project?
After, of course. No, I'm something like every month about what you did. Yeah.
Right. And okay, that's fantastic. Have you ever worked with another editor, like together as co-editors?
Yes, of course. Now I just won in Jerusalem festivals with the film Savoy. It's very interesting film. The director is Zohar Wagner. It's a hybrid film which combines documentary and fiction scenes together. And we have 2 editors there.
Right.
Yeah, Shomri is younger than I am, and they made a half cut, but he stayed with us after the act also. Watched what we did, and he helped us. Did a lot of things during riot. Yeah, it was a nice experience for me. But I guess it's not like that with everyone.
Well, thank you very much, Nili. Do you have any final thoughts, philosophies of life?
No, I talk too much.
Okay, Nili Feller, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing your films. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. This podcast is sponsored by Camera Museum of London and Tang Cigars, located at 44 Museum Street, London. Thank you for listening to a Fish Out of Water podcast. Should you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please get in touch.